Hey guys, Metal Jesus here, and today we are going to take a look at something called the Retro Champ by My Arcade. I originally saw a prototype of this at E3 last year, and I was intrigued enough at the time to want to do a review of it, so My Arcade sent me the retail version of it here. So if you're not familiar with this device, it is a Switch-like device for your NES and Famicom cartridges, so it plays physical cartridges. And you can play those cartridges either in handheld mode or on your HD television. There's a lot going on in this thing. There's some surprises for sure, but I'm gonna give you a little bit of a spoiler alert here, and that is I'm not exactly in love with this thing because a couple things had me just wondering, why the heck did they do that? All right, so let's go over the specs of this thing. So first of all, I mentioned that it does play original NES and Famicom cartridges, and you'll see here on this device that the NES cartridges go on the top and the Famicom cartridges go in the bottom. And try to keep that in mind because that becomes a bit of a problem later. It also has a built-in 4,000 milliamp rechargeable battery that will last you anywhere from 3 to 5 hours depending on the game that you're playing. As you can see here, it's a 7-inch backlit LCD screen with multiple aspect ratios. There's a little button on top where you can toggle that. And as I mentioned, it's designed to be very Switch-like in that you can play it on the go, or there's a little kickstand in the back here where you can push that out and easily set it on a table. And one nice feature of this is that it's compatible with these Super Gamepad wireless controllers that they sent along with this. So again, very Switch-like in that you can have it on your table, connect it to your HD television, and use external controllers, up to 2 of them. So that's a pretty cool feature. And then check this out. This is actually what they showed me at E3 that I thought was pretty cool, pretty hilarious. So it has a built-in cartridge cleaning kit that is hidden away on the corner here. So it's really weird, like you push this button and this little plastic piece comes out, and then you can literally just pull off the top, and then there's some Q-tips in there as well as this little vial that you could put, you know, some cleaning solution in. So I thought that was pretty brilliant because as you guys know, you often have to clean your cartridges, and having that built into the device, well, that could be pretty handy. And then the retail price of this is $80. And so that all sounds great. I mean, that's the reason why I was originally intrigued by this, because you could potentially play hundreds, if not thousands, of physical games, and it would give you a lot of flexibility in doing so. However, when I started messing around with it and also shared it with some friends and let them play around with it, yeah, it's not good. So the first thing that I noticed is that the screen just doesn't look that great at all. I mean, actually so much so that I was a little surprised and actually reached out to My Arcade to kind of get a little bit of a feel of what they're going for here, because it looks, honestly, it looks like crap. I mean, it looks like just a composite signal, and it's not upscaling in any way. And the thing that confused me was when you first turn it on, you get their logo, and you can see that's very high resolution. So I know that the screen actually can do high resolution graphics. And I was kind of surprised. And basically what they said is that in order to keep the cost down, they decided to not upscale it in any way and basically just output the original low-res composite video to the screen. So I don't know. I mean, I just don't think it looks good at all. Now, what's interesting about that is I let some friends play around with it as well. And while they acknowledge that it doesn't look great, or at least crisp, it didn't actually bother them as much because the screen is so small and you do have it kind of, you know, away from your face so much. So for them, it was kind of like, yeah, it's not terrible. So, you know, maybe your mileage would vary. And to be quite honest, I was like, okay, I can live with this as long as the HDMI out looks good. And so I plugged in an HDMI cable, and well, you can see the results here. It looks terrible. It's washed out. It's not crispy or defined at all. Sometimes the colors seem a little bit off. And again, that's a real disappointment because if you compare it to something like, say, the NES Mini, so I'll put those side by side. Now, I know it's not apples to oranges here, or apples to apples, whatever that that phrase is. But I know it's not completely equal because obviously the NES Mini is running ROMs and this is running cartridges. But I'm just showing you as, you know, a consumer comparing devices. The NES Mini, I think, looks way better. And again, I would be a little bit more tolerant of the handheld mode and its low-res visuals if at least when you connected it to your TV, it looked as good as the Mini. I don't know, maybe that's asking too much. Another thing I noticed is that the aspect ratio seems to be cutting off the edge in some games when you're in 4:3. See, check this game out here. This is a Konami racing game called Road Fighter. It's actually a Famicom game. And if you look on the right-hand side there, you'll see that the numbers and letters are kind of cut off right there. Now, to fix that, you can push the button to switch to 16:9, but that ain't good. The other thing, and Reggie noticed this immediately, is that the sound is kind of off too.
And I just noticed that some of the music kind of sounds like the speakers kind of sound off a bit. Not a big deal, but some people will probably notice that.
So yeah, the sound and the visuals aren't great. And also too, everyone who played this thing was like, the controls aren't great either. I mean, nobody loved that D-pad. It seemed like it was very shallow and not exactly what you would be expecting. As a matter of fact, when you compare it to the external controller that they included with this, that wireless controller actually has a much better D-pad, but the one that's on the Retro Champ is really, it's really flush. It's not very good at all. It doesn't feel, I mean, it's playable, but it doesn't feel great. And also too, the ergonomics of the device, you know, you're holding onto this thing that's kind of like a really thick tablet. And so again, it's playable, and I captured all the footage here, but everyone kind of complained about it. They were like, it's just very bulky and doesn't feel great. Another thing that I wasn't crazy about is, and you can see it here, is that there is a bit of a death grip on your NES cartridges, and you see me struggling with it here. That's not good, especially if you've got some, you know, valuable or rare games. You're going to be kind of reluctant to put it in here because it can be kind of hard to get it out. Now, I do think that it's pretty cool that it plays Famicom cartridges, and I have a bunch of them, but this is hilarious, okay? So I asked Reggie to try to pull out the Famicom cartridge because, as you see here, it's pretty flush with the bottom, right? They had to do that because if you have it with the kickstand and sitting on a table, obviously it can't stick out.
That's gonna be like weird, like pulling games out of here.
Put it in there again.
Okay.
Their solution was to use this little plastic push device. Pick up that, and that's what you use from the top.
Really?
No, from the top. So flip it over. There you go. Now,
push this. Are you serious? You did serious?
Yes.
Okay, that's too much. Nah, I can't. Well, I mean, no.
So, I know, Reggie just thought this was hilarious, and everyone who saw it is hilarious because, again, this is a portable device. You're going to be on the bus, and you're going to have this big, thick tablet thing, and then if you want to change, you know, from a Famicom cartridge to an NES cartridge, you got to whip out of your bag like this device to push it through. Now, to be fair, you don't actually have to use that device. You could take another NES cartridge and push it through the front to shove the Famicom cartridge out the back. But it's such a clunky solution. I mean, it really needed to have some sort of lever or some sort of button, some other way of dealing with this. I'm just not a fan at all. Again, it's laughable. And so I beat up on this thing, and rightfully so, but maybe you're wondering, you know, is there anything I do like about it? And the answer to that is yes. I mean, I do think that it has a pretty decent build quality. Like, it doesn't feel that cheap, even though I know it is, but you know, it seems like it's put together fairly well. It's got a nice weight to it. It's not too much, but it's not too, you know, light either. I really do like the fact that it has a cleaning kit built into it. I think that's pretty clever use of the extra space that they had for this device. And I do really like a device that plays physical media. I mean, there are tons of games that you can play on this, and the fact that it tries to be Switch-like in that you can play it in handheld, but you can also put it on your table, use external controllers, and output to your HD television, that's all great stuff. I love that idea. And it's $80, which I think is a good price for this. You know, especially if it had better visuals and better audio. But the thing for me with these sort of devices is, from a consumer point of view, I wouldn't mind if you charge $5, $10, or $20 more to just have a better quality experience and a better quality device. You know what I mean? If $80 was their target and they had to hit that, and the only way to do it was with this type of emulation, I would much prefer them go, hey, you know, for $100, we're going to have a device that is way better output, way better visuals, way better audio, things like that. And then recently, My Arcade has announced that they're going to do a version of the Retro Champ, but it will be the Super Nintendo / Genesis Mega Drive. And then my hope is they take the feedback from reviewers like me to improve that product and make it the best it can be, because obviously there's a lot of fans like me that would love to see that product come out and just kick ass. All right, guys, that's my review of the Retro Champ. Now, if you want to learn more about it, I will put a link down in the video description below. As always, I want to thank you guys for watching my channel. Thank you for subscribing, and take care.